There comes a time in every believer's life when the heart grows restless with a longing it cannot explain. It's a quiet ache that no worldly pleasure can soothe. It's the cry of the soul searching for a kindred spirit, a soulmate, not just in romance, but in purpose, in faith, in destiny. And let me tell you, when God answers that cry, he does it not by chance, but by divine orchestration. The Lord doesn't play dice with your life. He is intentional. He is precise. And if you are waiting on him to reveal your soulmate, you can be certain that heaven is already moving on your behalf. God's timing may not always line with our impatience, but his timing is perfect. You see, before God brings two people together, he first works on them individually. He refines their character, shapes their hearts, and molds their spirits to reflect his image. You may be praying for a soulmate, but God is preparing you to be the soulmate someone else is praying for. He is not only preparing your heart to love, but he is preparing your soul to carry the weight of divine partnership. So often, people rush into relationships trying to fill a void only God can fill, and in that desperation, they end up with counterfeits, temporary pleasures that distract from eternal purpose. But when God introduces you to your soulmate, it's not a spark of passion that fades with time. It's a fire of purpose that only grows brighter with every step of obedience. It's not chaos, it's peace. It's not confusion, it's clarity. And when it's from God, you won't have to force it. You won't have to chase them. You won't have to lose yourself trying to win their affection. God never calls you to strive for what he has already ordained. The Lord has a way of writing love stories that the world cannot understand. While others chase after romance through worldly standards, God moves in the realm of the Spirit. He brings together souls who are aligned not only in love, but in mission. Your soulmate is not just someone who makes your heart flutter. They are someone who makes your spirit stronger. They are not just a partner for today. They are a warrior who will stand beside you in spiritual battles, a friend who will pray with you through the storms, a companion who will help you walk the narrow path when the world tempts you to stray. And God introduces you to your soulmate, it may not happen the way you expect. It may not be wrapped in fairy tale moments or grand gestures. Sometimes it's in the ordinary, the mundane, the overlooked places that divine connections are made. Maybe you cross paths at a moment of weakness when your heart is weary and your faith feels fragile. But that is when God shows up. That is when he surprises you. That is when he reveals that he has been orchestrating every detail, aligning every step long before you even knew what you were praying for. Do not think for one moment that God has forgotten about your desire for companionship. He is the author of relationships. He created Eve not because Adam was bored, but because he said it is not good for man to be alone. That was not just about physical companionship, it was about spiritual partnership. God designed your heart with the capacity to love deeply because he himself is love. And when he brings two people together, it is a reflection of his covenant. It is holy, it is sacred, it is purposeful. But here's the truth. Many are asking God for a soulmate without asking him for alignment. You can't expect to meet the right person while walking the wrong path. You can't expect God to bless what he didn't ordain. Alignment comes before assignment. Obedience comes before fulfillment. So, before you pray for your soulmate, ask yourself, are you willing to become the person they are praying for? Are you willing to wait, to grow, to heal, to let go of what no longer serves God's purpose in your life? Some of you are heartbroken because you thought someone was the one only to watch it fall apart. Let me tell you, God removes people not to punish you, but to protect you. He sees what you cannot. He knows what lies ahead. Sometimes he allows your heart to break so it can be rebuilt stronger. Sometimes he says no, not because he is cruel, but because he has something greater. And when the time is right, when your heart is ready, when your purpose has matured, he will open a door no man can shut. You don't need to chase. You don't need to manipulate. You don't need to compromise your values to gain someone's affection. The right one will not ask you to shrink to fit into their world. The right one will recognize your value, not just in your beauty, but in your spirit. They will see your heart for God and cherish it. They will see your dreams and speak life into them. They will walk with you, not ahead of you, not behind you, but beside you, because when God writes your love story, both hearts are synchronized with heaven's rhythm. There are divine moments, appointed times, when God causes two paths to intersect, and you'll know it not by butterflies or fantasies, but by peace. A peace that surpasses all understanding, a knowing in your spirit, a confirmation in your prayer life, a clarity that comes only from God. And when it happens, you'll look back and see how every delay was preparation, how every detour was protection, how every heartbreak was redirection. God is not just introducing you to a person, He is introducing you to a purpose. Together, you will do more than fall in love. You will rise in love. You will grow in faith. You will conquer in prayer. You will build a life that reflects His glory. You'll become a testimony of what happens when two people surrender their timelines, their expectations, their brokenness to a God who knows the end from the beginning. And yes, the wait can be long. Yes, the nights can be lonely, but do not settle for what the world calls love. Wait for the kind of love that heaven approves of. Wait for the one who will lead you to the cross, not away from it. Wait for the one who will kneel with you in prayer before they ever take your hand in marriage. Wait for the one whose love for God is greater than their desire for you. That's how you'll know it's real. That's how you know it's God. There is a love so rare, so holy, so divine that only God can create it. And it begins not in pursuit of another, but in pursuit of Him. When your eyes are fixed on Jesus, when your heart is fully surrendered, you stop searching and start trusting. You stop begging and start believing. And that's when the miracle happens. That's when the right person shows up, not to complete you, but to complement what God is already doing in you. So don't be discouraged. Don't give up. Don't settle. Keep walking in obedience. Keep growing in grace. Keep seeking first the kingdom of God, and all these things, including love, will be added unto you. God sees your faithfulness. He hears your prayers, and at just the right time, in the most unexpected way, He will introduce you to the one your soul has been waiting for. And when that moment comes, you'll understand why it had to take so long. You'll realize that no other love would have been enough. Only this one, only God's one. Because true love, God ordained love, is not found, it is revealed. And when God reveals it, no force in hell can separate it. What God joins together, let no man put asunder. Your soulmate is not lost, they are being prepared. And so are you. Trust the process, trust the pruning, trust the pauses, because when it's God, it won't just be love, it will be legacy. God never rushes anything that's meant to last. He is not bound by our timelines or our desperation. When it comes to introducing you to your soulmate, He moves with great intentionality, preparing both hearts long before the two ever meet. He is a master craftsman, working in silence behind the scenes, shaping you into the kind of person who can receive, give, and sustain divine love. You see, many people want a soulmate, that they don't realize the weight of what they're asking for. A soulmate is not just someone to laugh with, travel with, or build a life with. A soulmate is someone who will stand with you in spiritual warfare, someone who will pray with you when you're too weak to stand, Someone who will remind you of God's promises when your faith is running low. That kind of person doesn't come from convenience. They come from consecration. And that's why God must prepare you before he presents them to you. Sometimes that preparation feels like loneliness. It feels like unanswered prayers. It feels like rejection. But in truth, God is protecting you. He's pulling you closer to himself. He's building a foundation in you that isn't easily shaken. He's teaching you how to love from a place of strength, not from brokenness. He's healing wounds that would bleed on someone who didn't cause them. He's purging your heart of idols, fears, and insecurities that would sabotage the very love you've been praying for. He does the same for the one he's preparing for you. Right now, somewhere in the world, your soulmate might be going through their own wilderness. They might be learning hard lessons, breaking free from past cycles, or being stripped of everything that doesn't reflect Christ. And you might not see it, but God sees. He knows that in order for you to be ready for one another, you must both be rooted in him, must both be full of his love before you can pour that love into each other. This is why the wait matters. This is why the process is holy. God is not delaying your breakthrough, he's perfecting it. He's creating a version of you that no longer chases after affection, but radiates it. A version that no longer settles for less, but walks in the fullness of his promise. And when the time is right, when you both are ready, he will align your paths in a way that only heaven could orchestrate. It won't be forced. It won't be confusing. It will feel like grace. Because what God has prepared, he will present. And when he does, it will be a love that bears the fingerprints of heaven itself. There is a love the world chases, a love built on fleeting feelings, surface level attraction, and emotional highs. But the love that comes from God, the kind that leads you to your soulmate, goes far deeper than butterflies or romance. It is rooted in divine purpose. It is mission driven, not emotion driven. Your soulmate is not just someone who makes you feel good. They are someone who pushes you closer to God, someone who walks beside you in the calling he placed on your life. So many people fall in love with a moment and miss the assignment. They build relationships on emotions that change with seasons, forgetting that emotions were never meant to be the foundation faith is. Feelings come and go, but purpose remains. And God does not bring two people together just so they can feel happy. He brings them together so they can fulfill his will. When God sends your soulmate, it's not just about who they are to you, it's about who you become together for his glory. A soulmate aligns with your mission, not just your mood. They see beyond the surface. They recognize the fire in your spirit, the calling on your life, and the divine responsibility you carry. They are not intimidated by your purpose. They are inspired by it. They don't distract you from your path. They walk it with you. Together, you build something eternal. You cover each other in prayer, sharpen each other in truth, and hold each other accountable in love. This is the kind of relationship heaven blesses, not one rooted in emotional highs, but one grounded in shared vision. God doesn't join two people just because they make each other laugh. He joins those who are spiritually aligned, who carry similar burdens, who have complementary gifts, and who are willing to serve him with one heart and one mind. That kind of love doesn't just last, it multiplies. It doesn't just feel good, it bears fruit. You may be waiting for a soulmate who makes you feel alive, but God wants to send someone who helps you fulfill the reason you are alive. Your soulmate will not be your everything. They will walk with you toward the one who is. They will not worship you. They will worship God with you. They will not complete you, but their presence will bring completion to what God has called you to do. That's divine, that's purpose driven connection. When God writes your love story, it's not just about love, it's about legacy. And legacy is birthed from two souls who understand that their union is not their own, it is sacred. It is designed to touch others, to minister to the broken, to represent Christ in a world that has lost sight of what real love looks like. When you find that kind of love, emotions will follow, yes, but they will follow purpose, not lead it. That's how you know it's from God. The world tells you to chase love, to perform for it, to compete for attention, to be afraid of losing it. But the love God sends is never rooted in fear. It's not about earning someone's affection. It's about recognizing what God has already aligned. You don't have to force it. You don't have to manipulate it. You don't have to exhaust yourself trying to make it work. When it's divine, it flows. When it's holy, it humbles. When it's right, it brings peace, not pressure. Peace doesn't mean there won't be challenges. It doesn't mean everything will be perfect. But deep down, there's a spiritual clarity that this is where you're meant to be. You're not constantly questioning their intentions. You're not walking on eggshells. You're not losing sleep wondering if you're enough. Instead, there is an inner calm, a divine confirmation that this is from the Lord. That kind of peace surpasses understanding. It guards your heart and mind like a shield, protecting you from the insecurities that once plagued you. God is not the author of confusion. So if something is constantly making you anxious, if you're feeling pushed, rushed, or unsettled, take a step back. God doesn't bless what goes against his nature, and his nature is peace. His nature is patience. His nature is love that waits, love that trusts, love that doesn't need to be manipulated to stay. You'll know it's from him when the relationship feels like rest, not like a war within yourself. Sometimes we get caught up in wondering whether someone is the one. We analyze, overthink, and second guess every detail. But God doesn't want you to live in a state of emotional turmoil. He wants you to live in peace. And when he brings the right person, you'll know. Not because it's a whirlwind of emotions, but because your soul is at ease. There's no rush, no panic, no performance, just quiet assurance that this is part of his plan. And in that peace, God speaks. In that stillness, he confirms. He shows you through his word, through prayer, through wise counsel, through divine timing. He gives you signs that point to him, not just the person. Because the goal isn't just finding someone, it's finding God in the relationship. And wherever God is present, peace is present. That's your confirmation. That's your compass. And that's the kind of love worth waiting for. Waiting can feel like a wilderness. It can feel lonely, painful, and even pointless at times. You pray, you hope, you dream, and yet nothing seems to change. You see others entering relationships, getting married, building families, and you wonder, Lord, what about me? But God wants you to know the wait is not wasted. It is sacred. It is holy preparation. He's not punishing you. He's preparing you for a love that reflects his glory, not your impatience. Every delay has a divine design. What feels like silence from heaven is actually movement in the spirit. God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating circumstances, pruning your heart, and building your faith. You may not see it, but in the waiting, he is shaping your soul to receive something greater than you can currently imagine. He is increasing your capacity to love, your ability to discern, and your strength to endure. He's making you whole so that when your soulmate arrives, you don't cling out of fear, you love from a place of confidence in him. Sometimes God keeps you hidden because he is protecting you. He knows what you don't. He sees what you can't. If he lets you walk into a relationship too soon, it might break you or distract you from your calling. So instead, he slows you down, not to withhold joy, but to prepare you for lasting joy. He wants to bless you with his best, not a rushed version of it, and his best always takes time. Think of how God develops everything valuable in silence. A baby is formed in the womb. A seed grows beneath the soil. A diamond is made under pressure. All of this happens unseen, but none of it is wasted. So why would your season of waiting be any different? God is forming something eternal in you. He's making sure that when the right person comes, you recognize them not just by how they make you feel, but by how they align with what He has spoken over your life. And don't think for a second that you're behind. You are not late. You are not overlooked. You are exactly where God needs you to be, becoming who He needs you to become. The longer the wait, the greater the testimony. The deeper the preparation, the stronger the foundation. God is teaching you not just how to wait, but how to worship while you wait, how to grow while you wait, how to believe while you wait. This season is not a curse, it's a blessing in disguise. It's in the waiting that God refines your identity. It's in the waiting that you learn to trust Him with your heart. And one day, when you finally meet the one He's prepared for you, you'll look back and thank God for every unanswered prayer, every door He closed, and every moment of stillness. Because in that wait, God was writing a story far more beautiful than anything you could have written on your own. There are moments in life when something you thought was right suddenly falls apart. A relationship ends, a door closes, someone walks away without warning. And in those moments, the pain can feel unbearable. You question everything. You wonder why God allowed you to love someone only for it to end in heartbreak. But what feels like rejection is often divine protection. God is not being cruel, He's being careful. He removes counterfeits to protect the promise. Sometimes we hold on to people who were never meant to stay. We confuse compatibility with destiny. We settle for attention when God wants to give us true connection. And when God begins to remove what isn't meant for us, it doesn't always feel like a blessing. It feels like loss. But behind that loss is a loving Father who sees what you cannot. He knows who belongs in your future and if He has to break your heart to save your soul, He will, because He loves you that much. Every counterfeit God removes is a mercy. They may have looked like the answer. They may have spoken the right words. They may have even loved you in the only way they knew how. But if they were never meant to walk with you into your calling, God will let them go. Not because they're bad, but because they're not right for the assignment on your life. Your soulmate isn't just about romance. They are tied to your purpose, and anything that distracts or delays that purpose must be released. You may cry over what left, but one day you'll thank God it did, because what you thought was good would have kept you from what is truly God. He doesn't just give you what you want, He gives you what you need. That means closing doors that don't lead to your destiny. That means shaking things up when you're settling. That means breaking soul ties that feel safe but keep you stagnant. God's promise for your life includes love that is real, rooted, and redemptive. And in order to receive that, He often has to empty your hands of what's temporary so He can fill them with what's eternal. It may hurt now, but the heartbreak is clearing space in your life for something holy, something that doesn't drain your spirit but lifts it, something that doesn't confuse you but confirms you, something that doesn't pull you away from God but pulls you closer to Him. So don't fear the ending. Don't resent the silence. Don't try to reopen doors God has closed. If He removed it, it's because He's making room for something better. He's not punishing you, He's preparing you. The promise still stands. And when it arrives, you'll understand why every no had to happen. Because the love that's coming will reflect His heart, not your wounds. It will be worth every tear, every delay, and every goodbye. Trust the process. The promise is still on the way. Right? It's easy to think that love is something we can search for, that it's something we can find through our own effort. But God's design is different. When we pursue God first, when we make Him the center of our lives, He will bring us the person who aligns with His will for us. That's the beauty of surrender. When you release your own expectations, your own timelines, and your own vision for what love should look like, God takes over and writes a story far greater than anything you could have planned. It's not about making lists of what you want in a soulmate or trying to create the perfect scenario. It's about trusting that God knows exactly what you need. He knows the desires of your heart, even the ones you haven't voiced. He knows your dreams, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your calling. And when you surrender to Him, you allow God to orchestrate everything in your life, including the person He's prepared for you. It's not about you finding them, it's about God bringing them to you in His time and in His way. Surrendering your plans also means letting go of fear and insecurity. You no longer need to prove your worth or chase after validation from others. You can rest knowing that the love God has for you is perfect and His plans for your life are good. When you stop running after love, you create space for God to fill that longing with His presence, peace, and direction. He will line your steps, guide your heart, and lead you right where you need to be to the person who is meant to walk with you in His plan. The act of surrender is one of faith and trust. It's not passive, it's active. It's choosing to lay down your desires, trusting that God knows what's best for you, and believing that the love He has prepared for you will be far greater than anything you could have imagined. When you give up your need to control and allow God to take the lead, He reveals a love that is not only fulfilling, but reflects His glory. So if you're in a season of waiting, don't despair. If you're longing for the person who will complete you, don't chase after them. Pursue God instead. Seek His kingdom first, and everything else will fall into place. Trust that God is writing your love story, and when the time is right, He will reveal the person meant for you. That's the beauty of surrender. Not just finding love, but discovering the love God has had in mind for you all